Last time on The Wolf Among Us, we finished the game and it was so much fun that I decided to start the whole thing over again. No. A couple of you out there have asked if I could show off one of the extras in the game, which is the Book of Fables. It's like a short write-up about all the characters, and since I do love to read, I said sure, I'll do that. I didn't include this in the original Let's Play, because I thought it was kind of filler material, but since you asked for it, I will accommodate. And I should note too that there's a couple things that I don't have unlocked. It's just based on choices, so you can't get all of them in one playthrough. You'd have to play it multiple times, but I'll just show you all the ones I have, because I have most of them. So the big bad wolf is known for tormenting pigs and girls in red hoods, trying to put those days behind him. Bigby is now Fabletown's sheriff and remains in his human form. However, due to his rough past, citizens are slow to trust him. Bigby's determined to show that he's truly changed. And then we come to his lovely bride-to-be, Snow White. Snow may seem cold, but this stems from her life of mistreatment and abuse back in the homelands. After escaping assault and imprisonment, not to mention an attempt on her life, she married Prince Charming. Wasn't long before Snow discovered Charming cheated on her with her estranged sister Rose Red, and she divorced him. After the Exodus, Snow focused her attention on setting up a safe haven for Fables in the New World. She now serves as assistant to the deputy mayor of Fabletown, and she does not look thrilled to be here. The Woodsman is one of a few men who went toe-to-toe with Bigby in his Black Forest days and lived to tell the tale. In an attempt to save Little Red Riding Hood, he split the Great Wolf's belly open with his axe, filled him with rocks, and threw the beast in the river. To his dismay, his popularity has faded. Even his name is forgotten. He's only known as the Woodsman. And the only reason he got the jump on Bigby is because his axe was enchanted. Faith, faith. Otherwise known as Donkey Skin, made it through the Exodus to the magical homelands with the clothes on her back, her husband, and nothing else. She was once a beautiful princess, happily married to Lawrence in the neighboring kingdom. Her life should have had a happy ending, but in the mundane city of New York, it wasn't kind to her or her marriage. No money, Faith found herself turning tricks to make rent in a cheap apartment on the outskirts of Fabletown. She had a difficult life, but she did what she could to survive in an unfamiliar world. Oh, that's so sad. Beauty and her husband Beast once lived in an enchanted castle. They were forced to flee the homelands in the Exodus, leaving all their wealth behind. Now they live in a modest studio my butt, in Fabletown, New York. Tough though times are hard, Beast working multiple jobs to pay the bills. The couple have the longest lasting relationship of all the Fables. I didn't get that sense from Beast. I thought she was working extra jobs. Beast and his wife Beauty left everything when they escaped the homelands in the Exodus. Without his former wealth, Beast must pick up extra work to make ends meet. He's able to get around Fabletown without a glamour most of the time, but if Beauty gets too angry with him, he becomes more beastly by the minute, growing horns and large teeth. Despite occasional bickering, the two are in love, have the longest lasting relationship in Fabletown. Well, aren't you special? Mr. Toad Slumlord, he's the superintendent for a defunct tenement on the edge of Fabletown proper. Because he's 3.5-foot talking amphibian, Toad's required by Fabletown law to keep his family and himself magically glamored to appear human. Problem is, Toad isn't too concerned with what the law is, and he has to be reminded often. And why did he get sent to the farm when Colin got to stay? Colin's known as one of the three little pigs. Back in the homelands, they were harassed by the big bad wolf. He never lets me forget it. Colin's the one with the house of straw. After the Exodus, he was sent to the farm in upstate New York. Unable to stand such a boring life, Colin makes constant trips to Fabletown to bother Bigby. He's always caught and sent back to the farm, but he doesn't let that stop him. Why does he get to stay? Crane. Hailing from the haunted town of Sleepy Hollow, Ichabod Crane has been deputy mayor of Fabletown for nearly 115 years. Crane's a bundle of nerves and takes his job seriously, though that doesn't mean he does it well. As one of the Fabletown's elite, Crane is often blind to the troubles of less well-off citizens. Overall, Crane is authoritarian, cowardly, and always hiding something. An all-around douchebag. Unlike Buffkin, the librarian, talking winged monkey from the land of Oz, as Fabletown's librarian, he spends his time reading and stealing booze. He's prone to mischief, so when something goes wrong, he assumes he'll receive the blame. He's helpful when he wants to be, but most of the time he'd rather be drinking. Some would have fired him long ago. He's the only one who can make sense of the filing system. Read the comics, especially the later ones, like the recent ones. You'll see how awesome Buffkin is. He's not just a librarian, I promise. Fabletown is a community located on Bullfinch Street in Manhattan's Upper West Side. To regular people, or us Mundies, it appears to be an ordinary neighborhood, but it's really home to fables from many worlds. In the business office at the Woodlands lives a massive cavern, a vast library, hundreds of magical items of immersed power. All non-humans live in upstate, the farm, an extension of Fabletown. Speaking of which, the farm is home to fables who cannot pass as humans, like giants, goblins, animals, etc. It's located in upstate New York, far enough away from the Mundies to avoid detection. Some of its residents resent their confinement to the farm, despite its size and comforts. To them, the farm's a prison. They would be allowed to leave the farm if they could purchase a glamour, but many don't have the money for something so expensive, though some, like Colin, sneak out into the city anyway. Mundies are non-fables, or us, short for mundane. A Mundie is a catch-all term that Fables use to refer to non-magical inhabitants of their adopted home. Fabletown and the farm keep their minds distracted and dull within certain boundaries. However, if anything should pique their curiosity, these magical protection charms would overload and fail. As Sheriff of Fabletown, one of Bigby's functions is ensuring the Fabletown community maintains a low profile. Keep it on the DL. Glamours are spells that allow the user to change their appearance. They are expensive, but can be purchased by non-human fables in order to pass for human among the Mundies. Cheap glamours can be found in seedier parts of Fabletown, thanks to Miss Green. They are often unreliable and prone to sudden failure. Prince Lawrence. After escaping the homelands, Prince Lawrence and his wife Faith immediately fell victim to the harsh realities of the mundane world. They moved to New York, hoping to aid a community of fellow fables, but without enough money to live in Fabletown, they had to settle for an apartment on the outskirts. Fortunately, that meant they were out of sight and out of mind when it came to government assistance. Prospects dwindling, Faith left Lawrence to try to make it on her own. Now without his wife's support, Lawrence struggles to motivate himself and quickly sinks into depression. Aw, poor Lawrence. Tweedles. Hired goons. Dumb and D are thugs for hire. They appear human, allowing them to carry out their contracts in the Mundy world without drawing suspicion. They are inseparable and ruthless. Holly's a no-nonsense kind of troll, and the owner of the Trip Trap Bar. She's glamored to appear human, but her patrons know better. Holly takes good care of her regulars, often the downtrodden fables with little to spare. She has no patience for the government, though, and has done nothing to locate her missing sister. Actually, I did. I found her. Grendel just wants to be left alone. In the old days, he terrorized North Mead Halls, but lately he can be found occupying a stool in various dumpy bars around New York, most likely the Trip Trap. He hates the noise of the city, but must work there to afford his glamour. Despite his gruff bearing, he's fiercely loyal to those who learn to offer him space and the silence he desires. Bluebeard, managed to escape the homelands with his riches intact, continues to be one of the wealthiest fables in New York. Fabletown government depends on his generous contributions, and he uses his influence for his own benefit. As a former serial killer, he claims his days of decapitating his brides are over. What is with decapitation in this game? Even if he was able to leave his violent ways in the homeland, that hasn't stopped him from being a little bit corrupt. Unlike Bigby, in the days leading up to the Exodus, the big bad wolf haunted enemies of men and goblins in the Black Forest. The invaded forces were driven off. Bigby made it his game to destroy their camps, devour their night watchmen, and disrupt their supply trains while sparing their prisoners. One day he broke their ranks and discovered a particular woman they held captive. Her skin was white as snow, but her hair was dark as the night sky. Can you guess who we're talking about? He approached her, and she, knowing no sword could match the giant wolf's power, bravely placed her shackles in the beast's mouth. He freed her, but years would pass before the two met again in the Mundy world. Aww. Bluebeard's mercy. After a long line of marriages resulting in mysterious disappearances of his wife's head, Bluebeard's last wife in the homelands was naturally suspicious of him. One day he departed on business, leaving her alone in his estate. He gave her free reign of all the rooms, made her promise not to open the door to the ground floor. She defied him and learned of his missing wives. When Bluebeard returned, he knew he must kill her before she revealed his secret. She persuaded him to allow her a moment to pray, which he granted. This small mercy gave her brothers time to arrive and rescue her, and Bluebeard's crimes were exposed. The Witches of the 13th Floor. 13th floor is home to the witches and wizards tasked with the protection of Fabletown. They use their powers to keep the community hidden from prying Mundy eyes, and if the Fabletown's ever attacked, they can do some offensive stuff too. In the comics, you'll see that. The Witching Well, which I think I've called the Wishing Well all the time in this game because I mispronounce, is basically where they send bad people. Dead fables are committed to its depths. Most unredeemable criminals. No one is sure what lies at the bottom, if indeed it has a bottom at all, but widely is assumed it's the passageway to beyond. Jack Horner. He's always up to something, but not nearly as smart as he thinks he is. His plans to get rich quick often backfire, but his confidence never wavers. He thinks he's the most important person in Fabletown, but everyone knows him as a mostly harmless smartass. Lily. Lily and her sister Holly grew up in the homelands together, but had a falling out shortly after moving to the mundane world. Aimless and destitute, Lily turned to prostitution. Now she's the second victim in an ongoing murder investigation. We already solved it. Well, I guess we actually unlocked this before we solved it. Speaking of Lily, here's your brooch, a troll cross, an amulet made of iron that was thought to protect the wearer from trolls. Lily acquired hers while wandering through the forest searching for food. She came across a human. Before she ate him, he said, "Back, you troll." After she ate him, Lily plucked the cross from the dead man's hands. After the Exodus, she wore the troll cross as a reminder of better days. Days when you could just go around eating people. Back in my day, we used to eat jerks like you. Jerks like Georgie. Georgie runs the Puddin' and Pie, a strip club that caters to the unmentionable desires of Fabletown citizens. He's tried just about everything there is to try in pursuit of worldly pleasures, but none of that satisfies him for long. He does seem to enjoy pushing people's buttons, takes pride in his nightclub, and doesn't react well to anyone meddling in his affairs. Clever Hans is always doing exactly what he's told. However, he often misunderstands his instructions and ends up hurting himself, as in the case of his noted fable, where he threw sheep's eyes at his wife. Unsurprisingly, she left him, and now Hans works as a bouncer at the strip club. He hopes to dance on stage one day, but now he's content sweeping up. They should have him on stage. Look at this guy. I'm confident enough in my sexuality to say that man is a specimen. So's Nerissa. Her story never had a happy ending. She's known as the Little Mermaid, the girl who gave up her tail for a pair of legs in hopes of winning the heart of a prince. When the prince married a princess instead, Nerissa was left heartbroken. She made a journey to the mundane world hoping for a better life. Now she dances at the Puddin' and Pie. She finds some comfort in the company of her fellow dancers. Poor Nerissa. Interesting twist at the end. I love the whole Little Mermaid thing. Troll funeral rites. This is an entry, really? The gaze of the great mother Death is always upon us. Beneath her affectionate eye we fight our battles, we nurse our wounds, we shout our victories, we endure our sorrows. And when we fall, she is there. Her embrace is the silence of the mountain, the heavy piece of stone. Approximately translated. A troll funeral is a sacred ritual passed down by oral traditions from troll mother to son. Begins at sunset with the creation of the Kaim? A small pile of stones that represent the many generations of trolls that have traveled and died before them. Weapons are divided among the troll's closest comrades to the body, and the rest of the possessions are burned, though each viewer must speak to the life of the lost. The eulogy's candor would make a Bundy blush. Oh, I'm sure they let loose with it. Vivienne, much of her past is unknown since she prefers not to talk about her life back in the homelands. She wanted to start fresh in Fabletown, but she finds herself working for Georgie at the Puddin' and Pie. I thought they were like co-owners. It's not a terrible life. Georgie took a liking to Vivienne. She doesn't make her take jobs at the open arms. Instead, she plays hostess and helps Georgie ensure complete silence. Yeah. Dr. Swinehart's the resident Fabletown physician, so skilled in the art of instrumental surgery, he can safely operate on himself. No way! He served as an army medic for many years, using his talents to impress the locals. He runs the special research section at the Knights of Malta Hospital, so named to discourage people for investigating what is actually reserved Fables Focus Health Facility. All this reading, I'm losing my voice. The Headless Horseman, thought to be a spirit of a particularly fearsome, especially macrobe German military contractor, the Headless Horseman lost his head from cannon fire during the Revolutionary War. Most famous for hounding Ichabod Crane one night in the woods of Sleepy Hollow, it is rumored that this phantom is only the most recent incarnation of a primordial demon, whose previous forms include a middle-aged chieftain who brandished a whip made from human bone and a Scottish lord who was decapitated. Another decapitation! The Trip Trap is the oldest bar in New York City, established in 1725 by Starcad, the legendary Viking, as a place for fables to meet and drink and commiserate. Known then as the Grammarian's Tavern, he eventually lost it in a bet to a tribe of mountain trolls, who quickly renamed it and made it their own. Holly is the current proprietor, having inherited it from her mother when she died in a boating accident. Trolls go boating? Auntie Greenleaf, horticulturist, alchemist, and lover of animals. She's one of the few rogue witches still living outside the 13th floor, unsupervised and unrestricted. Rumored to have lost a daughter in the homelands, she suffers paranoia and depressive mood swings, and will venture only outside at irregular hours under the guise of an ethereal white deer, an oft-whispered specter of Brooklyn natives. The Glamour Tube, which she makes. Glamours can be produced in a variety of ways. One of the most common, due to its ease of use, is to take a small hollowed-out tube or container and place within it several items unique to whomever the caster wants to copy, a which is required for the charm. Two downsides to this type of glamour is that the totally unique appearances are impossible, and the nature of the vessel makes it unstable. Just like the Ring of Dispel, the Arthurian band. Reputed to be fashioned by a Byzantine clan in an attempt to ward off a coven of witches, the Ring of Dispel eventually was given to Lancelot by the Lady in the Lake, recovered by the business office after immigration to New Amsterdam. It was, I think Greenleaf had it, right? Yep, assigned to Greenleaf for caretaking. Bloody Mary. The true history of the person known as Bloody Mary is almost completely unknown, even of Fables. Her name, Mary at least, is not up for contention, nor is her penchant for shocking violence, an inlaid resistance to magic and spells, and a strange ability to use any reflective surface as a portal, effectively shortcutting space and time. Thought by Mondays to be a wailing apparition of a childless ghost, though any evidence of that is yet unseen. Yes, you didn't bring up the whole, Bloody Mary, I killed your daughter. The legends of the great and magical wolves often make mention of their weakness against weapons made of silver, and those tales bear out to be true. Silver bullet Mary shot Bigby with was not the first, but any of them could be his last. Any silver left weakens his immune system, slows his healing, and can cause long-term damage. Poor Bigby. Look at Snow, looking like an old lady there. With Ichabod Crane firmly out of the picture and King Cole absent, where was he this whole game? The task of leading Fabletown falls to Snow's shoulders. She has performed many of the job's duties for a long time, for like ever. Picking up the slack for Crane, now she's fully in charge of the business office, has to deal with a whole new level. Why is the donkey skin coat here? Only the truly powerful will understand the power of a coat that makes its wearer appear ugly. It's the power to be invisible while still being seen. Unfortunately, its value can also be hard to see, but it is still a magic coat, and to some, they will pay top dollar. But not Toad when he tried to sell it to Jack. Briar Rose, who wasn't in this game at all. One of the fables to find fortune in the world, Briar Rose has turned her weakness into a strength. When her fingers prick, it puts her to sleep and everyone else around her. This could be a powerful tool, just one of the many ways this sleeping beauty is more than just a pretty face. If only she didn't need a kiss from a prince to wake up. And she has that freaking awesome car, which they don't show in the game either, only in the comics. The Jersey Devil. Not all of the fables who came to this world landed in Fabletown. There are those who scattered across the farthest corners of the earth, and there are those who simply prefer the Garden State to the Empire State. That's weird. New York's better than Jersey. The Jersey Devil, reports of his appearance have varied. Most accounts make mention of his wings, which he didn't have in this game. An encounter with an axe of legend has rendered that. Oh, okay. They got cut off. By the woodsman? Did he cut them off? Once a simple tool for felling trees, the woodsman's axe became much more when it was ensorcelled by druids and marked with their runes. I'm sure I mispronounced that. It truly became an object of legend when the woodsman used it to slice the big bad wolf from nape to neck. I still survive though. May carry old war charm, but its simplicity of design and quality workmanship make it an effective tool or weapon, even to this day. So don't take it to a pawn shop, kids. Johann the Butcher. He would like to have that axe to cut his meat. He is often said in the same breath as that of the baker and the candlestick maker. Like other tradesmen, Johann the Butcher's storefront has served Fabletown for ages. Fresh cuts, exotic meats, and even full sides of beef. For the vigorous appetites of orcas and trolls, Johann's business has fallen on hard times though, and he fell in with the wrong crowd. The quality of his products declined, and his business turned into the front of an operation for the Crooked Man. Some started to wonder if they ever really knew Johann at all. Bluebeard's money. One might think that Bluebeard donates for nefarious purposes, seeking special favors, or to have a louder voice in government. But what he really wants is stability and strength, because as far as Bluebeard's concerned, Fabletown exists to insulate him from the Mundy world. As much as his money can be a sword, it also serves as a shield. The Crooked Man's Lair. Occupying a desanctified church. Really? That was an old church? This is just one of many locations that the Crooked Man operation uses to run its Fabletown underworld. Its lounge atmosphere makes for a comfortable meeting place, unless you are an unwelcome guest like Bigby was. It is completely bowered up from the outside world. The only way in is through portals, marked by the Crooked Man's Catherine wheel icon scattered throughout the city and elsewhere. That's actually pretty cool. Unlike the Crooked Man, he's not cool. He's a crime lord. Crooked Man has built himself into one of the most powerful figures in Fabletown. His operation started with a crooked sixpence and a crooked house. Two things he cared about more than his wife or children. What a great guy. He killed rather than let them stand in his way. In his rise, the Crooked Man has ensnared many fables in his criminal web. We should have thrown him down the well. He's cunning, persuasive, and ruthless. Tiny Tim. He's not cunning, persuasive, or ruthless. Most fables theorize that their longevity is improved by the Mundy's world knowledge of them. Yeah, that's how they're kind of immortal, because people believe in them so they can't die. But when a malady or injury is an integral part of a fable story, that notoriety can make recovery impossible. That's what Tim thinks, at least. And no medical care or magic, none that he can afford, can heal his leg. He should go to Swinehart. Swinehart could fix him up, maybe. With its idyllic location and managed community, the farm would seem to be a welcome alternative to eking out an existence in Fabletown. Those who have lived there see it differently. They see it for what it is, a prison. A place where you're free to be who you are and do whatever you please, except for leave. It doesn't help that while Fables who appear to be human do not have to worry about being sent to the farm, there does seem to be them in the leadership roles. We should have a revolution there. Vivian, the girl with the ribbon. Didn't we already do a Vivian one? Vivian was the first person to bear the curse of the purple ribbon. Removing the ribbon would result in death. Any attempt to talk about it was thwarted by a spell upon it. Time went on, she tried to live a normal life. She married a nice man, but he was constantly wondering about the ribbon. Despite her pleas for him to leave it alone, one night while she was sleeping, he tried to take it off. As he pulled the edge, Vivian woke up, saw what her husband was doing. She pulled away, preventing the ribbon's knot from being undone. Furious, she tried to express the severity of his actions. The husband was unable to understand. She realized then she couldn't trust him and decided to leave. She lived alone for the rest of her days in the homelands, preferring the safety of isolation to the risk of another betrayal. Just because you had a jerk husband. I'm so sorry that happened. But I can't say too much because we tried to take Narissa's ribbon off. The pudding and pie. Vivian and George met during the exodus from the homelands. They helped each other survive a long journey to the mundane world. That's how they met. Upon arrival, found it hard to make a decent living. With what little money they had, they opened the pudding and pie. Operating a strip club may not have been the most desirable occupation, but they figured it was better to be in charge of a place like this than to be forced through desperation to work at one. Yeah, as long as we don't have to strip. Oh, look, it's Bigby's mom. Bigby's mother, Winter, fell in love with the North Wind and bore him 7 wolf cubs. He quickly grew tired of her, though, and left Winter. Heartbroken and alone, she tried to care for her cubs. She was especially fond of Bigby, but as the runt of the litter, he was often teased by his older brothers. After Winter's death, Bigby's siblings went in search of their father. Bigby stayed to protect his mom's corpse from scavengers. Unfortunately, he was too small to defend her. From that day forward, he vowed that he would eat something bigger each day until he was large enough to confront his father and make him pay for the pain he caused his family. That's like the short summary of Bigby's story. You should read the comics to get the full scoop. And here he is, Bigby's true form, a giant 8-foot tall wolf. I think it's way bigger than 8 foot tall. In addition to his iconic huff and puff power, he has also inherited other abilities from his father, the North Wind. For example, Bigby can hold his breath for an abnormally long amount of time, making it impossible for him to drown. Sucks to be you, woodsman. He was like, I threw him in the water, but he couldn't drown. Mary's loyalty. Bloody Mary began working for the Crooked Man many centuries ago, promised her freedom to do as she pleased as long as she agreed to act as his personal bodyguard. Because of the Crooked Man's power and influence, Mary never had to worry about getting caught. Why would she worry anyway? She could just kill them. She enjoys her job and would defend the Crooked Man to the death, mostly because she finds it fun. That's her creepy form. Can we get her off the screen all the way? When a criminal is captured in Fabletown, a traditional procedure is to hold a formal hearing in front of the community. However, exceptions are made to expedite the process, and in reality, there aren't any hard and fast rules for these types of situations. The extent to which policies are upheld can depend on who's in charge. We need a Declaration of Independence, no, like a constitution, that's what we need. With Crane out of the picture, Mayor Cole has appointed Snow White as Director of Operations. Many would say this promotion is a long time coming, since she was pretty much doing everything anyway. Snow personally ensured that many Fables who made it to the New World were safe. She's also been doing the work of Deputy Mayor unofficially for years. After fleeing the homelands, Bigby Wolf spent many years wandering through Europe. With a Fable colony quickly developing in the New World, Snow White and Feathertop tracked down the wolf and offered him passage to Fabletown. He agreed, and Snow cut him with a lycanthropancy. I know that breaks werewolf, but I still don't know how to say it. It enabled him to change from human at will. Bigby became sheriff under King Cole's administration, but because of his violent past, many Fables don't trust him. He was banned from ever setting foot at the farm. To this day, he struggles to redeem himself in the eyes of the community. I think during this game, we more than redeemed ourselves. And is that like Pokeballs at the bottom of the frame? That looks exactly like 2 Pokeballs. So, that is gonna do it for the Book of Fables. That's the last one that I have. Like I said, there's 4 or 5 of them, I think, that I haven't unlocked. just because I didn't go back and do every possible choice, but hopefully those of you who requested this, I did like what you were looking for. If not, I'm very sorry. You can write and complain. And I do want to say that I appreciate all of you out there who take the time to either send me a private message, something through Twitter, you leave a comment on a video, you leave a like, sub, whatever way, shape, or form you show support. I know I don't always immediately respond to the comments that I get, but I do read through all of them, whether I reply or not, and they're always appreciated. So thank you guys out there for all of your support. And I say guys, I mean girls and guys. Sorry for being sexist with my pronoun, but you know how it is. Actually, there's no excuse for that. I need to work on that. I should just say peoples. And it might not just be peoples. It could be other animals. Could be penguins watching my videos. I don't know. I don't want to exclude anyone, whoever you are. It could be people who were originally people, then they got turned into animals because they did something naughty, and now they're like a crow for all we know. Who knows? Anyway, I'm gonna get out of here because I could ramble on all day, but that would serve no purpose. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you real soon with something else.